You and I are going to have a conversation later that you won't enjoy.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
You brought me a movie where monsters come out of toilets.
Dude, did you know there was a Ghoulies Go to College?
No, I didn't know there was a Ghoulies Go to College, and I'll tell you why. Because I wouldn't watch fucking Ghoulies if you paid me.
I didn't pay you, and you're watching it now.
Oh, no, we're not watching it. We're podcasting, baby.
Well, let's get this set.
And another thing is Scotch makes everything easier.
That's certainly true.
Oh. So it's been 2 weeks, and frankly, all the nerd news the last 2 weeks depresses me.
What? What's up?
So, well, you know, people won't stop bitching about Game of Thrones.
What's going on with Game of Thrones?
Said I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, I asked, so now you have to. You brought it up.
This episode is going to be 3 hours long as it is. They had Sansa marry Ramsay Bolton.
Is that different than the book?
Yes. But what's not different is that he rapes her and he makes Theon watch.
Dear God.
Yeah, so everyone's lost their mind, even though they were only just a little last year when Jaime fucking screwed Cersei right over her dead son. I mean, like, literally over her dead son.
Yes, but they're awful, awful people.
So,
you know, they're always going to be a different jumping out point for those who are considered like the sweet, innocent types.
Yeah, well, the genital mutilation didn't help anything.
See, I haven't seen any of this, so... Nor, I have not read them in a long time, either.
Yeah, well, they cut off poor Theon's cock.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Ramsay Bolton flayed him and tortured him. And
is this all in the books?
I don't think the castration is. It's been a long time since I read them, too. But, you know, nobody batted an eye when that happened.
Yeah, because, again, he was a dick. Literally.
Yeah, yeah, you know, until it's a character they care about, people can't care. Which is redundant, but totally insightful. Now, everybody thinks that Imperator Furiosa is the greatest female character since ever.
Really?
From Mad Max. Yeah, she's a good character. I'm not going to take that away. She's an absolutely good character. But she's not the second coming of fucking feminism on Earth. You know?
No, this is the Charlize Theron character?
Yeah. And also, Max was not, you know, downplayed and a secondary to his own flick as the MRA assholes would have you think. So everyone's losing their shit all week long, and I'm tired of thinking about it. You know, honestly, I'd rather continue watching Ghoulies than talk about this horse shit anymore. That's nerd news of the week.
We had a big time passing.
Passing. Who died? You're going to punch me in the neck. I don't consider it nerd, though.
Doesn't matter.
I'm disappointed and depressed, but I don't consider it
Doesn't
nerd.
matter. It matters to us, and it's our goddamn podcast.
All right, that's a very good point. You know, some people won't care that B.B. King is gone, but I damn near cried.
How many times have you seen him?
7. I reviewed how many albums I had, and I instantly went to Amazon and bought 4 more.
Oh, which ones you buy?
Cook County Jail.
That's a great album.
Yeah.
How did you not own them? Well, you had a burnt copy for me, that's why.
Yeah. And, you know, various losses and breaks over the years. And I got a really good one. I think it's called Now You Got the Blues. It's a 3-disc set. It's got like 20 songs I never heard before.
Nice.
So that's going to be lovely to listen to.
I have 6 or 7, but the ones that I have are so fucking good. Cook County.
Yep. San Quentin. The Regal.
Regal's amazing.
The Regal is mind blowing.
Lucille Talks Back, which is a sick album.
Yep. The problem was he never really did albums. They would compile shit, and it was difficult to buy a lot of discs that didn't have stuff you already had.
Yeah. I have a few LPs. B.B. King is alive and well, and
yeah, I had this. I had this one called "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," which cost me $4 in the CD bin, new, because it's like totally non-remastered, like recorded through a microphone off LP. It's just like, wow, this reminds me of, holding up the tape recorder to the radio to get Def Leppard. It's just, the quality was so fucking poor on it, man.
The good old days.
Did you ever bother doing that?
Recording things off of radios?
Yeah.
Once in a great while, not too often.
Dude, it's the dude from Heathers. Punch it in. No, he's not on the screen now. Anyway, it's been a rough 7 days. So...
Oh, it's Indie Week, your favorite of the 3 weeks.
Yeah, Indie Week is always a pleasure. We got so much crap to get through.
The indie pile is starting to get large.
Staggering.
And you added some new books.
Well, a lot of new books. I didn't follow up on all of them, but had to try stuff.
But that wasn't the intent. You had a couple you were going to follow, and the couple you were only going to go out and buy if you liked. So
yeah, and it worked out both ways. With the shipment after this one we're talking about, yeah, it's like, nope, don't need any more of them.
So, did any of them stick?
So far, Invisible Republic is staying.
What about the robot one?
Descender, that's staying.
Those were both solid.
Yeah,
but we'll get into it further.
Right. So let's talk non-Marvel, non-DC books.
All right,
starting off with our huge favorite, like everybody's. Although I heard some jackass on Twitter complaining about it today, that it was just diversity exploited by a white guy. Saga 26. It's true. You gotta love it when a white boy doesn't like white boys.
Self-hate.
So this time around, Marco stops a grocery store robbery, and he goes a little nutsy doing it. Which is kind of like, whoa, hey, that's not you.
He has a lot of anger.
You must be under stress. He's encouraged by Prince 4 to kill the robber. Which is like, I can see Prince 4 wanting to do that, but Marco's not going to. What the hell is this going on here?
Well, he saw his face. I mean, the logic behind it is pretty clear. It's just a matter of, Marco's not a horrible, horrible person.
And I guess Prince 4 really doesn't know Marco all that well enough to, think, to understand what a bad idea it was to ask him to kill for such a, from Marco's perspective, petty reason.
Well,
At any rate, through all this, the janitor has brought revolutionaries to the rocket tree. And I love saying rocket tree.
Of course you do.
Let me make sure I have that up front. Rocket tree is precious to me. Alana tries to talk him out of it, and somewhere along the line, the quest for dragon jizz goes on. Ew.
Yeah, that's just nasty.
Marco goes and gets high because he wants to understand what Alana's been going through with her drug period. What?
Well, I think it's more like Marco gets high because the idea of peace is becoming more tempting to him. Like, he thought he had peace with his wife and daughter, and he couldn't stay calm. Like, somehow being married and having kids is supposed to make you calmer, my ass.
Yeah, not bloody likely.
But Marco is a romantic and not necessarily a realistic one.
Yeah, that's too true.
So I think, when they were just talking about why Alana was doing drugs, he heard the words and he's like, that does seem tempting. I don't know if it was so much about understanding her as just not wanting to be in the mental state he was in. But no, there's a couple of key moments. I love that the little girl is all smart about talking them into talking to the dragons.
Yeah, that was clever.
And Marco's ex-girlfriend is kind of an ass.
She is. Gwen is not. She's driven, but she's not terribly bright
Or nice.
or nice. So, like, dude, you're just gonna have to give up at some point, Gwen. You can't. It's just terrible. So they got to go find her brother or some horse shit.
Wait, Gwen, who's...
Yeah, there was a brother in there somewhere they were trying to find, wasn't there?
Gwen? No. The original bounty hunter is the brother
of the Edge or whatever the fuck
exactly.
his name
But
is.
now, but the names are just impossible. But now the spider chick seems to have some sort of brother who's chasing him down as well.
That's the one I was thinking. Yeah.
So
this is a dense, complex, irritatingly clever and long, convoluted book.
no, but
Wow.
the terrorists seem to have bad agendas, despite being portrayed as freedom fighters initially.
Yeah, everybody wants to be portraying their terrorists as freedom fighters because it turns a different perspective on current events, and we should really go fuck yourself. They're terrorists.
Well, they make it pretty clear that these are terrorists, like
Yeah.
decapitating people and blowing up schools. These are awful, awful people. And Robo Janitor is not a bright man.
No, he really isn't. Not by a long shot. So, yeah. No, it's enjoyable. It has not changed in 26 fucking issues. And I really hope it doesn't.
It is an awesome book.
Tell me all about your number one favorite. Hellboy, 1952, number 4.
Well, what are your notes? What do you got here?
Well, my perception of the issue was that Hellboy gets out of this pit they were left in the last issue into a morgue run by Brainiac mutant chimps.
oh, so awesome.
And filled with Frankenstein-like bodies. So, are they cloning things? Are they just butchering and sewing back together? What are they doing there?
No,
They're interrupted.
It seems to be live bodies. Or ex-live bodies. So it seems to be the townsfolk.
Ex-live.
I think they actually revealed that it's not the townsfolk, sorry. It's the guards and the prisoners of the prison.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're interrupted, however, by a giant Frankensteinian-type monster with an axe!
Well, awesomely.
No, I didn't raise my voice because I thought it was bad. It's just, how many times do you see something like that? I mean,
Well, in Hellboy, you've got full-on swastika Nazi tattoos and complete insanity.
yeah, during the fight with the Frankensteinian axe-wielding thing, they burst through a wall right into a Nazi ceremony, which is like, boop, and Von Klempt is readying an army through all this.
So good to have Von Klempt back. So this is Hellboy's first encounter.
Right.
That's awesome.
It's fun. This thing's a lot of fun.
You know, of all the Hellboy non-straight up Mignola drawn miniseries, all these period ones,
Yeah.
like young Hellboy has there's a lighter tone back to it that's nice.
Uh-huh.
Like he's inept about a lot of things. But this one, of course, then immediately forgets all the inner drama of the previous one with like who tried to kill Hellboy and who on the team. Now it's just the two of them again.
Yeah.
So it seems to be leaving rather a lot of work for the final issue.
Yeah, probably. There seems to be a long way to go with this.
But I'm totally enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I buy pretty much anything Hellboy anyway, but this just makes me happier.
I'm down for the ride. Shit. What can I tell you? I can't get over the fucking Heathers guy in this movie, man. It's killing me. Now, we change gears immensely from the supernatural to science fiction. And I ain't going to lie, it took me a read and a half to figure out what was really going on and who was who.
Now, which book is it?
This is Invisible Republic 1.
Oh, okay. So
Because it was not easy initially to determine what was flashback and what was
see, I had no
normal
problem
story.
with that.
You didn't.
And I'm not saying that to be rude, but usually we're on the same page with that, so I'm a little surprised.
It wasn't overly clear the first time I read it.
Were you doing something else at the time?
Probably.
Oh, okay. Because you have a journalist following up in the worst place ever.
Right. Avalon, a colony established before faster than light travel with a fallen government.
And then
Instantly setting up intrigue.
the journalist happens upon a hobo who won't be interviewed, shockingly enough, who's burning the diary of the cousin of what appears to be the resistance leader or current dictator or some sort of heavy political figure.
Yep, that's exactly who it is. But then there's some vagrants who get confronted by some soldiers. And this conversation they had...
Well, that's what he's reading.
Yeah, but the conversation they had confused the shit out of me.
Oh, how so?
Well, they got this whole part where there was supposed to be... He was trying to be... The guy, who turns out to be the leader, was being kind of smart-ass about it. But the soldiers' reaction seemed way out of proportion.
Well, it is, but I think that's only because we haven't established what kind of society they're living in.
Yeah,
Like-
but from the literal words that were being spoken, it was like, why are you that mad about that?
Well, he seems to be trying to recruit them, and then
Right.
he very clearly doesn't want to go, and then the sergeant loses his temper rather dramatically.
Yeah.
But, you know, if this were set in Nazi Russia, you would read that and not... Soviet Russia. Soviet-era Russia. Or, because the Nazi Party recruiting Germans by beating them has never been a thing. But if you read this as like 1950s Soviet-era Russia, you wouldn't be shocked by that jump. This, however, you're having what seems to be an intellectual character. It switches tone so dramatically
Yeah.
that it's very shocking.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's only because we have no world built around it.
Right. It's only halfway through the first issue so far, so
Right.
still learning a lot of things.
So I think that definitely...
But it's high quality.
Yeah, it was very good. I'm pleased to see that you kept it, because I was reading it like, damn, this is not bad at all. Like, I thought the whole finding a diary of burning paper was the stupidest goddamn thing ever.
That is a bit, really, fellas? Okay, this half-naked chick with the deer trophy caught on her head is disturbing.
Yes, in many, many ways. Shocking that F. Ghoulies Go to College is not a great film. Who knew? But,
Oh, is that somebody?
hey!
It is somebody. Right, so Invisible Republic is good. Shall we call it even on that?
It was definitely an interesting start. I really liked the art in it. I thought it was, you know, it moved quickly into an action piece right away without losing the story. If you can get past the horribly, horribly ridiculous idea behind the start of it.
Yeah, not everything is going to be executed perfectly. Not everything is, you know, a saga, but whatever. So we got some more science fiction. This is Science Fiction Week, pal.
That is true. There
And I
were
hope
a
you're
lot
ready
of
for
science
that.
books.
This isn't your bag mostly, but I'm hoping you can get through it because fuck you.
All right, what was next?
Southern Cross, #1. Which is an okay enough story, but half the book goes by before we even get the protagonist's name. And that is a comic writing fucking sin right there. Her name is Alex Braith, and she's on the converted cargo ship Southern Cross on her way to Titan to pick up her sister's personal effects because she died on the job.
Right. Well, and more to investigate it.
Yeah, that too. She gets a cabin mate who also turns out to be investigating her sister's death. She meets the captain because she gets lost running around the ship. The ship is pretty cool.
Yeah, it feels like Treasure Island. Like everywhere she goes, she runs into the doctor, the captain, the first mate. It's like, really?
Well, you know, there are riffs you can do. There are themes that you can do. As long as they don't make it too terribly obvious. I haven't read Treasure Island since I was a kid, and that was that, you know, perfectly square abridged version that's 3 inches by 3 inches.
You should actually. That is a great book.
Yeah, people keep saying shit like that, and then I keep reading them and keep going, what the fuck?
Well, you know, I know that
We've covered that ground before, so we won't do it today, but...
A world without lasers is challenging for you and all.
It is. Damn it, it is. Although Treasure Island, I guess, has pirates at least.
There you
so,
go. Phasers on literacy.
That's a start. There's our title. But, yeah, it's a pretty good start, but I didn't order the next one, so whatever.
Are you going to... Is it going to be like a Fuse thing where you'll grab it if you find it? Or?
Yeah, I think that'll be sufficient. So, moving forward from there is a true disappointment, as a matter of fact.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Citizen of the Galaxy is not what I remember the novel being.
I have never read that one, so I have to rely on you for this. What was Citizen of the Galaxy about, from your vague memory?
You know, I've read so much Juvenile Heinlein that I may be mixing them up, honestly. But Citizen of the Galaxy, I thought, was about this kid who was part of this semi-rich family when he went on a trip to Earth. I'm probably mixing this up with Podkayne of Mars and at least one other.
The Rolling Stones?
No. Because he loves sending kids out on exploratory self-finding missions, and they're usually pretty well off, and they're usually self-reliant, which is great because you like to have a kid character who isn't one of those clever-ass smart-asses who's competent, but whatever. But that's not what happens in this fucking book. What happens in this book is on the planet Jabul, or Jabul, whatever.
Jibubble!
I have bad handwriting, okay? On the planet Jabul, crime is terrible, including slave trading. Which, you know, come on. Really? If you can travel faster than light, do you need fucking slaves?
Apparently.
See, that's one of the things that throws me off about mass media science fiction. You know, and I've covered that shit before, too. Like, why would aliens want our water? That kind of horse shit. But whatever. The guy's Baslim buys a slave boy named Thorby
For nothing.
for Zippo.
Pennies on the slave dollar.
For an argument, really. He makes this big speechifying argument and he wins the kid. Thorby can't sleep in a bed because he's never been in a bed, so Baslim has to hypnotize him to remove his nightmares. They stay together for quite some time, and the kid does some crime, but eventually Baslim sets him free. Because that's what you do. You keep a slave for a little while, you go,
Well, he never treats
it's
him as
yours!
He never treats him as a slave.
No, he never does. But if it turns out that if he frees him early, something bad might happen. So he kept him for a while.
No. I think what it was is the kid, being a street urchin with, having had a horrible life, starts to steal. So he explains to him, like, if you do not be moral and upright and not steal and ever lie to me again, I will set you free with nothing and you will be screwed.
Yeah, see, that's where I was going. Yeah, it's dense and it's very, very, very talkative, and there's so much terrible dialogue that I lost all of it.
No, it felt like it was nowhere near as bad as the what was that awful science fiction novel that you made me
Tales
read?
of Honor?
Yeah, good God, it was better than that, but that proves nothing. It was just much like the book. It was juvenile. It just wasn't.
Well, it is a I mean, that's
Right.
the class of book it belongs to. Is Heinlein's juveniles. So there wasn't a whole lot of depth. I mean, there were a few things in there that are semi-mature themes, but largely speaking, the original novel was for 13-year-olds.
Right.
So it
And-
couldn't get too freaking deep.
If they had marketed it that way a little bit, it would have been a more comprehensive. Like, it's not a mature cover the way we tend
Yeah.
to think of it, but it's a very stylized and dark-looking cover with Heinlein all over the top of it.
Right.
You're not
Which is
thinking-
not screaming to today's 12-year-old.
Right. Like, at no point are you looking at that like, oh, this is this is from the kid line, this is for kids.
Yeah.
No. So had they bothered to do that, and if you came into this, now obviously you being a Heinlein fan knew that this was a kids one,
Yeah.
but were you looking?
Who
at
else would
this-
know that? Who
I
who
don't.
walking through a comic shop, never having read Heinlein before, would have any idea?
Well, I mean, even people who've read Heinlein. Think of how many people are fans of Heinlein's major works. Don't think about his other books being like, because it wasn't a huge period where he was writing like these preteen books.
Nah, that was very early. That was late 40s to late 50s.
Like, a lot of people have not read these and are not thinking. So I feel like there's a lot of misleading going on.
A teeny bit, yeah. I don't know if the phrase "a lot" really works, but yeah, definitely not as advertised.
So, if it had been presented to me as like a book for younger kids, introducing them to sci-fi, then I might feel different. But even then, you've got hookers and freaking headless people and slavery. Like, this is no longer what you can present to kids.
Nah, there's a lot of things in there that doesn't belong to them. And a revolution kicks off eventually as well, so that's that's not your average 12-year-olds kind of thing.
No, it is definitely not.
But I got it, frankly, out of sentimentality, because I am the Heinlein guy for some god awful reason.
That is true. You gonna be holding on to it? Are you
For
gonna
a
get
little
in the rest?
while, there's a thing in the back of the mind that says, "You're a Heinlein collector. You should have this too." But whatever. There was another Heinlein adaptation we did that didn't get finished before either, right?
Which one was that?
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't there one earlier?
I don't know. You bring me a lot of bad sci-fi. It's not my favorite part of this, Jeb.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of bad sci-fi being produced, and you don't know it till you buy it.
I feel like sometimes you can make an educated guess.
You can inform yourself ahead of time mostly, but you try to have faith, which is kind of weird because that's the opposite of science. So whatever. At any rate, now let's turn around and go out to straight up horror with Witches 4 and 5.
Finally, something is happening.
Yeah, it's about fucking time. Charlie and Lucy discuss what the old lady did with the mysterious stomach veins and what Sale's motivations could be. And ew, stomach veins? A map made out of stomach veins or whatever? No, it was some kind of threat or some kind of wording.
No, it was a map.
It was
had
a map.
The word here.
That-
and
yeah.
It appeared on his stomach in veins.
Yeah, because it's been 2 months now since we read that. Poor Sale is stuck on a pile of bodies in the witch hovel, which is just disgusting.
No, just clothes.
Was it just clothes? I
Yep,
swore there
because
were
they eat
bodies. Ew. Now, Charlie thinks he's meant to go to a shack on the coast for some reason. It wasn't clear why he thought that to me.
Because that was the map and the word here.
Yeah, but the Here Coast? That doesn't sound like a name anyone would ever...
No, the map and then here as in location. Not
Yeah,
here
but then
as in name.
they specifically said, I have to go to the Here Coast.
Oh, well then, I
Which
missed
is
that.
like,
'cause
that's a name that people would fucking make up? The Here Coast? That's a fiction name, buddy.
that is a very bad fiction name.
And it turns out, of course, that he is meant to go there, as because it says here on it. It's just ridiculous. But he's met by some nut with a gun that tells him all about the witches. and it's about fucking time.
Yes,
I
so-
wanted to know this stuff the first fucking issue.
It's built up a little bit more. It's made clear what's going on. Their powers, the sacrifices, everything's made a little bit clearer.
Yeah, but not even through this whole dissertation the guy gives them. There's still something.
But remember, it's a girl.
Oh yeah, because the art is kind of like what? No, don't take from the bottom, you jackass. See, the cans now fall. You don't take from the bottom.
Dude, you're expecting like brilliant thought out of Ghoulies.
No, not brilliant, just not stupid. It's not the same. It's not the same. At any rate, during this whole thing, which still doesn't give me anything to work on with the whole pledging mechanic.
Well, no, they explain that too. Like,
No, they explain what it is. They don't explain why you can just randomly offer up anybody and that
you have
person.
to mark them with something, and then the witches claim them.
Yeah, but is that a pledge though? I mean,
You're pledging.
That's an offering. That's not.
Well, I mean, phrasing is about the same, but yes. Basically, you're pledging them. You mark them in a way that allows the witches to grab them, and then they grab them and they get your wish because you took the time to basically feed them.
All right, that much I got. The wording is just so poor, though. Now, let me ask you this, because this is killing me.
Yeah, what do you got?
I've never heard this phrase ever in my universe. I think I get it, but what the fuck is cooking blocker? Yeah, exactly.
I did not fully follow that one.
All right, the nut with the gun was saying that they couldn't control the mites even with cooking blocker. What
Well-
the fuck is cooking blocker?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird phrasing. It's not a real thing. Remember, like, you can hide from the witches by covering yourself in stink.
Yeah,
Like,
which is the next offering up from the gun nut. She gives him this camouflage and a list of the witch agents, noting that she, of course, was a victim as well, but she got out of it.
well, until they got her this time with the mites from their hair that
Yeah.
caused them to commit suicide.
Now, I don't like not knowing something I've read. But I didn't find the phrase cooking blocker to be Googleable.
No, because it's made up for this. It's not an actual, there is no cooking
Are
blocker.
you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Because
sure.
I think it's just like Pam.
Cooking blocker. Pam, really?
Well, okay, think for half a second. What could that possibly mean?
You cook something to block the mites. It's not. You're looking for more logic in this than there needs to be. It is definitely.
You're going to give me words I don't know. I'm going to investigate them. That's
you know
all.
what cooking is. You know what a blocker is.
Yeah. Put them together. They said it in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I know each of those words individually. I think it's just nonstick spray is what it is.
Yes, they spray Pam in their ears so the mites slide out as if it's a water slide.
There might be some chemical in there that the mites don't like. You don't know.
Well, we do know that witches don't like animal fats despite eating people.
Which is bizarre.
It's like, ooh, and they particularly don't like rat.
How do witches like this not like rat? Whatever. That was all through issue 4. So that was just peculiar and weird. Now, in 5, Charlie is going nuts because Mom can't remember Sale. Which is what happens, it turns out, when you pledge somebody, is people start forgetting them because the magic of the witch and their meal and their need to not be caught.
What I still haven't figured out is what happened to the uncle.
Yeah, where did he go?
I think he was pledged too, but
Maybe.
who pledged both? None of this makes a lick of sense.
No, it's not really following, and he's pulling threads and dropping threads, and it's weird. Now, the police officer shows up, and at this point, Charlie's just batshit. So he grabs the guy's gun
Well, his name's on the list.
because he knows that the sheriff is on the list.
There it is.
Just the fact, well, he's still batshit.
No, well, his daughter's missing. His wife's gone crazy. Crazy shit upon crazy shit upon crazy just happening.
Now we get more exposition about which is from the officer, which is better.
Yes, he fills in a bunch of holes.
Yes, I like that a lot better. But apparently Ginger, as it hangs from trees, looks like beehives.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ginger...
Which doesn't make sense because it's fucking root.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Ginger on the tree is a witch thing.
Ginger doesn't grow that fucking big, yo.
Well, dude, it doesn't grow on trees either. I mean, once you've broken the cardinal rule, like, how it grows is really secondary.
So anyway, Charlie covers himself with the camouflage, and he goes down in the tree, and it gets pretty deep. He goes down pretty far, but then it gets hot, and he starts sweating off the camo.
Uh-oh.
So he's pretty fucked.
It's the end of the stink as we know it.
So, aside from some bizarre sets of circumstances and really weird turns of phrase, I do like this book.
It's a solid book. It is also, it's an investing nightmare. I noticed in, Witches 5, there's, 2 massive thumbprints on the back because those stupid black covers.
I hate those things.
It's so,
and I try really hard not to allow that to happen anymore because that's happening easier and easier all the time.
Yeah, no, it's so bad.
And it's still happening. It's like, do I have to wear fucking archival gloves to read a fucking comic now? Do I have to be that guy with the white fucking wrist gloves?
It's the end of our podcast, dude. It's like, here's your rubber gloves to read this week. No, we're done now. Moving on.
They would be silk. Skull Kickers.
Nice.
Infinite Icons of the Endless Epic, #1. We've gone from nasty, dark fantasy to light, fun, happy fantasy with weird Cthulhu-esque slobbery things.
I love that this is all their fault. They left the evil monster in the nexus of all worlds, so now it's taking over the bar, and the god bartender is covered. It's just hysterical. And then they start slaughtering innocents. It's just such a great book. And having multiple dwarf is just the best thing ever.
And mind-controlled apes, never a bad thing.
Nope.
Mind-controlled bartenders, iffy. Because I need them guys to be able to mix a drink. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. My respect for bartenders is massive and legendary.
And that's really the whole book. And it's just goofy, low fantasy fun, really.
It's just such a hysterical book. I don't understand why they're ending it. I can't see a reason to remove this.
Well, there's also a point where, nobody wanted Bloom County to end either.
True.
Nobody wanted Calvin and Hobbes to end either. Sometimes when you're out of ideas.
Yeah, but those were both around for many, many years.
That's true.
This is...
But,
not even
Jim
making
Zub
40
is
issues.
not the same creator that Burt Breathitt is, or what's his fuck
Bill Watterson.
was. Bill Watterson was. I almost got him mixed up with the Fox with Amond, which would have been wrong.
No, it's true.
They're both great, but they're not the same guy.
No, it's a great book. It's a lot of fun. It is. It's one of my favorite reads. It's just such the first couple graphics. You're like, oh, this is fun, and the storyline is built and gotten better and better to the point where it's just hysterically awesome.
You know what else is hysterically awesome?
Yeah, what do you got?
Big Trouble in Little China 9. I don't know. Jack and Lopan were working their way through the various hells, and Lopan keeps trying to justify his need for Miao Yin, and Jack just keeps fucking him over with it. Every time he's like, we're meant together, he's like, she hates you. There's a rebuttal for everything, and it's all hilarious.
Meanwhile, Egg and the other guys are bringing Jack's body to a random god on Earth to try and revive him.
Yep.
Which might be possible, but will be challenging.
Such a fun book.
No, I think Powell has done a great job with building the tone on it. It's hysterical.
And I'm mildly worried about Lanning taking it over. I don't want to be paranoid about
Not
it.
Lanning.
Abnett.
Nope. Van Lente.
Van Lente, that's right.
No.
The third guy I don't read.
No. Fred Abnett and Lanning drive you insane.
Van Lante's hit or
has done
miss,
some things
really.
that you've liked, but
Yeah.
really he's done a lot more that you haven't liked. And when he does a pure comedy book, it's usually not your cup of tea.
No, I don't. I remember buying one of his straight comedy books that I didn't like, but I don't remember what it actually was.
Quantum and Woody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And then,
see, right there.
Like when he was teamed with Pac on Hercules, that was one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Brain Boy, which did nothing for you.
You know, these ghoulies are not exactly terrorizing people like they were.
No, they've killed one whole person. I don't believe they've ever managed to take out a whole ton of people, though. Ghoulies are, it's like the Three Stooges. You're never going to get, like, full value out of your murdering.
Yeah, well, ghoulies are not good enough for me.
Anyway.
Oh, do you have to... Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Right. So, I adore Big Trouble in Little China.
It is a lot of fun. The Hell of No Escapes is escape-proof by selling a martyr to a demon. So, Jack's luck continues to suck. Lopan's obsession with physical needs is pretty goddamn hysterical. Well, Ghoulies just upped the body count by 1.
It's about time.
Maybe
no,
not.
not really. No, he's quite alive. Whatever. Whatever. Bad flick. No donut. So, we're going to switch gears now, again, and we're going to go back to Ennis's War Stories 5 and 6. Because between double shipping and late shipping and me screwing things up, we got like 6 times where we got doubled up issues. So the Shoter 6 crew, which is the guys in the tanks, if you remember from the previous issue, is they're in dire straits, dude. Hundreds of Syrian tanks are coming their way, and they're just fighting. There's one tank that comes up to their bunker, like feet away. It's like they can't even see the fucking thing through the sight because it's so close. And the sergeant is just fire. Trust me. I don't care what you can see or not see. Just fire. And the thing is just like, boom! It's amazing. So, the sergeant talks. This battle lasts 2 days. And finally, at one point, the captain just snaps. He's like, there's no way we can win this. I'm going to go back and rearm. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to rearm. Now, the sergeant knows this asshole's just panicking. So he convinces him at gunpoint to put his tank back where it belongs and continue fighting.
Oh, my God.
Eventually, the Israelis... the battle keeps escalating, and the Syrians just never fucking stops. The Israelis lose 97 tanks, and they're still ordered to invade Syria.
Nuts.
Just like, what, dude? I know you guys are tough, but come the fuck on. At this point, they get a little break, and Shlomo feels that they shouldn't have to go back into battle because they've done enough, and he just gets laughed at.
Yeah, that was pretty much.
That was naive. It's like, I know you want to be hopeful, old boy, but you've got Syrians and Jordanians and Egyptians and fucking Saudis.
No, but you know what? Like, that's also realistic if you think about it. Like, you were in the service.
Yeah, you should
know
give
better.
You should give a team rest. You should swap them out.
I'm not even going there though. Although that's true, and they give them almost a whole day.
Ooh, all day.
But what I'm saying is, you were in the actual service. You know better.
Yeah.
But to the average person on the street, they're like, "Well, you've already done this. You should be done." That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Like, to so many people, like when you actually find out how it works, it's so night and day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the perception of how much is enough is not always accurate,
Right. Or even close. Like it's not a matter like. It's not like they don't know that it would be bad for these guys to go in with 7 tanks. It's like, that's what we need you to do. That's what you're going to do.
The resistance stays high even though they get progress into Syria. And the Schroeder crew eventually takes a village, but they get strafed, and they take some prisoners, but they take off because the Iraqis are coming. Oh, the Iraqis! Holy crap! But maybe in the early '70s, the Iraqis were a force to be reckoned with. Who knows?
They had to be scarier than the Iraqis of mass destruction and all, but
The team descends as Shlomo gets cynical. Ooh, there's a character arc. One of the guys actually goes from naive to cynical. They're talking about Russian and American backing on each side, and Shlomo eventually just sees the sergeant as a tank of his own.
it was an okay arc. It was not my favorite.
No, it's not up there. There was nothing there was almost unrelenting. There was no, like in the Tankies, you could get a laugh out of it even through the horror.
I think it was more like, first off, like the combat scenes didn't feel as strong as some of the other ones that he's done.
That's true too.
Possibly because, like they were very small characters and like no one was lost,
Right.
which isn't a negative, but at the same time, it's like, I didn't feel for these guys the same way as I felt for some of the other ones.
Yeah, and it wasn't very dynamic either. It was just like, it had scale,
Right.
but it didn't feel energetic.
Compared to like Night Witches when she goes off on those
Yeah,
guards at the end.
yeah.
Like it didn't feel, maybe just because I didn't relate. I did, however, like when one of the guys brought up, Nazis, and he's like, if you're going to fight everybody and based on that reason, then we're never stopping going to war.
Yeah.
Like if that's your excuse for whatever you do, then you are not making this any better. So I like some of the dialogue pieces, and as always with Ennis military comics, there's some cool facts in there, like the fact that tank commanders had to wear their dog tags around their ankles because they kept getting decapitated.
Right. I knew literally nothing about the Yom Kippur War before this.
Yeah, no, right.
And it made me go look it up. And that was some crazy shit.
No, it was definitely interesting. It just, I didn't find it as strong as some of the other ones.
No, that's absolutely true.
And like I thought, what was the one in the war story? So we're going back a bit, but like the tank commander who's just like this guy, trying to keep his guys alive, and then they all die, and he wants.
Well, there was at least two other tank stories. There was the Tankies,
Yep, I
and
remember
there
that
was His Majesty and the Firefly.
No. This is early. This was when they were doing them under Vertigo, not war stories, but the earlier. Remember how he did those one shots? There were 4 one shots and then 2 graphics of them.
Oh.
And there was one where the German commander was trying to keep his 4 guys alive, and that when they died, he tried to get murdered, and he ends up being captured by the Americans. So
I do remember that. I don't remember many details about it.
Right, but this, there were just a lot of parallels with the lead guy, but he never really had much of an arc either.
Yeah. Did you notice that comics are playing a huge part in this crappy-ass movie?
Yes, yep, it's all about the Ghoulie comic.
Which is just terrible. I don't even want to know about this shit. So, back to more grim and gritty.
What do you got?
We got Big Man Plans 1.
So, Eric Powell decided to figure out what would happen if he took the goon, removed everything light and playful, and instead made it about a dwarf who somehow served the CIA in Vietnam
as a tunnel rat.
Now, those of you who don't know what a tunnel rat is, I'm actually not going to mock you for that one. It is one of the most horrible, unpleasant jobs.
It really
ever.
is.
Tunnel rats were the guys in Vietnam who had to go down into the earth, into pits with a flashlight and a handgun, and try not to die.
As they rooted out Viet Cong. It was unforgiving work.
No, I have never read anything about tunnel rats that didn't result with most of them going like freaking
Batshit,
off. Like,
yes.
Yeah, it's not, and that's not fair. Not most, but like it was a horribly psychologically damaging and terrifying. Yeah. A lot of guys would not do that.
Yeah, this poor guy though, he's a big man. Did they give him a name?
Yeah, I don't remember it though.
He's a Tennessee dwarf.
He's a Tennessee dwarf.
Well, I don't know how else. He's a Tennessee little person, if you want to be PC there. He's a farmer's son whose dad dies in a fire, and Big Man is traumatized because he couldn't save him.
Well, his dad got drunk after his mom left, and the mom left because she had a dwarf son, so it ruined her social standing.
Yeah,
So
fuck
he
the
blames
South,
himself.
man. You're gonna give people shit because of wonky genetics?
Basically, Big Man has several thousand chips on his shoulder between between losing his loving father, his mother abandoning him, his sister being taken away when he's put into foster care where he gets raped.
Of
and beaten.
course he's beaten, because that's what happens in foster homes.
They also imply rape later on too. So woohoo, you know.
Yeah, maybe I skipped over that part mentally.
It was a sentence about blood coming from somewhere horrible.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, he gets rejected for the army, of course, but he gets approached by this Black Ops CIA guy who gives him the tunnel rat job. Woof. He's a total fucking killer, man. He kills a guy in a parking lot in jail. He kills a guy in a parking lot in jail. He kills a skinhead. It's just nuts.
He's a nasty little man, and it's an angry comic that's just going to get angrier.
It is, dude. When you get to 2,
It's nasty looking, but like it's so intriguing. Powell is such a good artist, and
he is. It's dynamic. It's expressive. It gets the point across. It's novel in the good way.
And it has a cartoony style, but he's able to do some really beautiful things too.
You know what he reminds me of a lot?
What do you
I'm sure you've already noticed this. You're far more perceptive than I am, but he's very Wrightson-esque.
You know, I wasn't thinking that actually, although it's incredibly accurate. I was thinking Frazetta, like there's a physicality, like. But yeah, he's got a very classical art style. But no, Bernie Wrightson is an amazing comparison. So you're actually more on point than I am. So it is a great. He's a great artist and writer. I know the Goon is not your favorite, but he's shown that he has some depth and fun. I would. This is after Men of Wrath. This is right there. We're like, oh, you thought you were done? No. Here we go again.
This is a little more. This has just the teeniest bit more goofiness to the grimness. There's nothing sentimental about this either.
But it's more ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a teeny bit more ridiculous, which lightens the tone like 2 whole degrees.
Yeah, no, this is much more like, putting a grenade under a cup and things like that.
That at least was clever. He didn't just, jam it up somebody's ass like Ira Wrath would have done.
Ira wouldn't need a grenade. Ira would just shoot you and stab you.
It's true, too.
He had no interest in being, like, clever.
But now we can switch gears to not fun, but definitely not grim. Oh, the cats are chasing each other and killing. Descender #1. I enjoyed this book. I was fun with that. Now, Nirada is a planet in the Galactic Council. One day, these 8 celestial-sized robots circle that planet and they attack. 10 years later, on a mining colony, a single being wakes up to find everyone else dead. He's a droid.
He is, which is not revealed right away, which was very
Not
cool.
right off the bat, which is good. Turns out a gas pocket on the mining colony killed everybody. They hit it. There was no time to put the masks on. There was no time for countermeasures. Nothing. So he's all by his lonesome. During these 10 years, the paranoia towards the robot celestial type things generated. That sentence was fucked up. Paranoia of robots generated by the Harvesters, which is the formal name of the giant celestial robots.
Yeah, all I could think was Celestials.
Yeah. It creates a complete anti-robot war, which really reminded me of the Butlerian Jihad in Dune.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because it's not so much... Well, in the Butlerian Jihad, the artificial life forms were artificial life forms. They we're trying to take things over, etc. I'm sure somebody listening has a better Dune perspective
Yeah, I haven't read
than
that
I
book
do.
in years. I should
Well,
revisit that at some point.
They really won't talk about the Butlerian Jihad. It has its own book, which I haven't read because it was
it's one of
Kevin
those
J.
later
Anderson.
ones. Yeah, it's not.
But it was just an expansion of things they alluded to in the original books. And I read a wiki on it, and it's terrible. But the point being, people couldn't handle the idea of artificial life potentially fucking them over.
Right.
So they put bounties on droids and robots and stuff. And I was like, really? You can't just... You program... The celestial-sized robots were not made by the same engineering firm as this little kid Tim robot here. What? How you get that paranoid over it? It didn't seem to be a proportionate reaction.
Well, they've eliminated robots, turned them into scrap and whatnot, but then the revelation comes that this one Tim android that's woken up is the same operating system as the Celestials,
Yes.
which makes no sense.
It doesn't at all. But it is curious, and it'll probably make for several really good stories.
It was a promising start. It had a nice light tone. It was very cute, but I really liked it. I thought it was a strong book.
I liked it. Dustin Wynn's art is just nutsy cool.
No, it was a great looking book, and I love the little dog robot that was programmed would tweak to work in reverse, so it kept saying "fra" instead of "arf."
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was good. That was enjoyable. Now you wanted this more than I did, but I would have gotten it anyway.
Oh yeah.
The Nailbiter hack slash Nailbiter flip book.
I like those kind of things.
Well, then you can talk about them.
So it's two short stories about the time that Cassie met Warren, and one involves going to the fair, which they meet for the first time, and Cassie gets a feeling about Warren, but actually discovers that there's another serial killer out and about.
Yeah, yet an entirely different one altogether. All right, that is the weirdest single death I've ever seen in a horror flick.
It's not a classic film. But meanwhile, that was a strange thing because they removed Vlad from the entire story by way of a chili dog, which was vaguely ridiculous.
Yeah, what?
But they reveal a heretofore unknown serial killer from, what's the name of the
Buckaroo.
town?
Buckaroo, Oregon.
Yeah.
Or Washington. Buckaroo, Pacific Northwest.
But he disappears, and then at the end it's determined that Nailbiter has somebody in his trunk just to chew on his fingers for dinner.
Yeah.
And then we have a second story in which Cassie is mistakenly brought to the town, seemingly by Warren, and finds out that she's been trapped there because she's told that her dad was in the town, her mom may have come from there, and all sorts of crazy shit, which I assume plays into her storylines that I know nothing about.
Well, if you remember, her mother was the serial killer
lunch
known
lady.
as the lunch lady.
But
yes.
the dad, I never recall anything
No,
about.
even in the omnibus, I don't remember them talking about him. And there certainly wasn't anything in there about him in My First Maniac.
Yeah, or that third horrible, horrible omnibus that we got rid of.
Did we even... I only own the first one.
I gave it to you and you put it in a box of shite because you hated it.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, I found it at a library sale last year or the year before. And you're like, this needs
I
to
still
be out
have
of my
one.
house.
I still have the first one.
Yeah, so as do I. First one was decent, but that was... but anyway, so... and instead it's determined that there's a serial killer who's a Mexican wrestling fan.
The luchador.
It was ridiculous. You could tell the style of these two guys did not mesh particularly
No,
well.
not well at all, actually.
I thought that Williamson did a better job with Cassie and his story with the serial killer and the Ferris wheel than Seeley did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nothing about the Mexican wrestling thing was possible for me to take seriously.
Well, I'm not entirely certain we were supposed to, but even if it was, it would have been difficult.
I thought it was fun, like I have my Revival Chew one, like
Yeah. Well, that was a fun one, too. There's nothing wrong with... Ew. Class. Total class in Ghoulies Go to College. Whatever. Let's have some Revival 28, huh?
things are happening.
Things are ramping up finally. Weimar, Jackass, Blaine. I just refer to him as Jackass in my head canon. Weimar, Jackass, May, and Martha are still in the mill house. And Jackass wants to kill Weimar, not realizing it's not going to fucking help. He's a reviver. Nothing you do to him is going to... There's no point, dude.
But he's not a reviver the same way. Like, he is dying because he's not in the water. So something about the water is affecting them differently.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's drowning because he's not in the water. And this guy's like, there's nothing about this. Like, letting him go back to the water and drown every 4 minutes is not a perk. Like, we're not helping the dude. I think you're being unfair to Jackass because I think, like, they are moving him into an interesting character place where he's trying to be a good dude, but his methodology is kind of insane and very off.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens next issue.
Oh, dear. Things go south?
A little bit. Yeah. At any rate, the mayor's reviver wife creepily keeps mutilating herself and stitching herself back together, which is just like... It's the same incredible creep factor as when the old woman way back in the beginning was pulling out her own teeth all the time.
All the teeth, yeah.
This is chilly, creepy shit. So, Geis and Ramin talk about what happened at the farm where they're holding all the revivers that can't pass for alive. Martha can suddenly get memories out of people by kissing them. When did that start?
This very moment.
Yeah, I thought so. I knew I hadn't read that before. Weimar's memories of India, for some reason, crop up. There might be something going on with the Ganges, because that's a very spiritual place.
Well,
he might have brought back this entire thing. I'm thinking about this now.
Yeah.
He might have brought back this entire thing.
Well, I mean, you have he's there to study up on death ceremonies in the river, and then he wants to see something further. And then the guy suddenly becomes a friggin' demon or something.
Yeah, suddenly he learns how to, like, steal life for some shit, which may have started, it may have kicked off the whole thing when he got back. Now, Ed, the super conservative, one-eyed moron who thinks the government is coming with black helicopters, kills Ham.
His only loyal sidekick. Dude, that's such crap. Like, I never trusted you, but over the years you've proven more and more that you're a believable and trustworthy associate.
The one guy on his actual fucking side, he blows away, right? Ed set Dana up, though, and he's going to die and blame her for Ed. For Ed? For Ham. For Ham.
Yeah. Although he seems to be implying she's going to kill him, too, so obviously he's got some sort of weird plan going on here.
It's so dense. Like, literally every page is another scene where something different is occurring. Which, in one sense, is great, but in another sense, it just draws things out so far.
It needs a revival Wikipedia, which probably exists, but it is such a confusing book. But it's definitely brought the horror back, which it kind of veered away from for a while.
What's not bringing me the horror I was thinking it was going to bring me, however, is Outcast 7. I don't know, dude. The pastor patches himself up after getting the pentagram cut into him. The demon neighbor is coughing for some reason, maybe to tell us that he's the demon neighbor and there's something. He's burning out the body he's inhabiting in some way.
Well, it makes sense.
It does. So Megan and Amber, the former family of Kyle,
right?
Each of whom I forget who they were at given points reading the fucking...
Megan is his sister. And Amber is the ex-wife who still has his daughter.
Yeah.
Who loves him but wants nothing to do with him because he goes crazy and she gets possessed when she's around there.
Right.
Although no one knows that.
They have a long conversation about him, which is just kind of a little bit back and forth. And you already said the salient points about it already. Donnie, which is the guy Megan used to be married to who beat her, right? Is that right?
Oh no, that guy raped her.
Oh,
when she was
yeah,
younger.
okay.
That's the guy that
Now
he and the
he's
cop
stalking
attacked.
Megan.
He's trying to apologize, and she very fairly is like, "No, I'm never forgiving you.
Forget it.
We're never going to be okay."
I don't care what 12-step you're in the middle of. You're not going to get it from me. Yep. Kyle borrows Demon Neighbor's car to visit someone he exorcised. And maybe I skipped writing it down, but I don't really know the purpose of what... Was that so he could be sure he actually did exorcise somebody who actually was possessed?
The Reverend wants to go on a road trip because he knows Kyle can detect.
Yeah.
And all the people he's worked with over the years, he's now afraid that he has not been able to help because he's been unable to control. Like, what he thought was going on and what's actually going on are very different.
Right.
So the Reverend's in a very weird mental place. So he wants Kyle to go back and check on everybody and find out if any of these people are actually in peace or if they're all in torment.
Okay, that's much more clear now. So that's what they're doing in the next in the next issue as well. Okay, where it turns out that whatever, but the whole time the pastor is just recriminating.
Well, I mean, he's going through a crisis of faith. Like that's not, it's a very wordy. There's not a lot of action to those.
No. Nor to this book. I need some hot demon on exorciser action here.
Now, are you killing it or are you keeping it? Like
I'm gonna go to 12, and if something doesn't ramp up a lot in that period, which is 5 more issues from here, then I'm just gonna call it even because it's quality, but it's going no fucking place at all.
It's just really dark. I think the road trip might help it in a sense.
Maybe. It's hard to tell. But they also, the art is just... The palette they're using there is so dark. I'm not an art guy.
Right.
I don't know how to describe it better. It's muted tones. It's ill-defined lines. It's nice to look at, but it almost casts a pall on your whole mindset by the time you're done. And I'm sure that's intentional as well.
Yeah, it leaves a filth.
It really does. But then, how many horror books do we got to read a month, for God's sake?
There's a lot, right? The problem is, dealing with quality leaves certain options out. It's like I don't want to read that again, but these people are amazing. Like there's so many quality books out right now, and sadly, a great many of them are darker than shit.
But you want the good stories, you got to go to where the good stories are.
True.
And the good stories are dark right now. We have a different kind of dark zombie-ish shit with Ragnarok 4. Zombie Thor kicks all kinds of trolls' ass to find Idun's apples.
Actually, none of that happens.
What? Yeah, it does.
The troll is a good guy.
Yeah, he's the defender of the Draugr village.
And he finds them before he meets the troll because the rat god was was draining them into his mouth to keep him into... That's how he became Zombie Thor instead of dying outright.
I misinterpreted all that shit. The Black Elf's husband and daughter are looking for her. And she died in the second issue. So they're not going to get happy. Thor visits the village elder, who turns out to be a fire demon. What? He drives it out and tasks the troll with teaching the village to protect itself. So I got a few things wrong there because I wasn't...
It's been 2 months.
Yeah, it has.
But it's such a great dynamic book. It looks awesome. I would never have thought that a jawless zombie Thor would have been this much fun. And there's a couple key little moments too, like when the troll looks at me like, "How do you talk without a jaw?" Like, don't worry about it.
It's true. But we come to a book that you love. I know you adore this book.
What do you got?
I know you love Frankenstein Underground.
Dude, tell me the electrode nipples weren't a little bit fucking weird.
That, it was something I could have done without. I mean, there's other places to put those fucking things. There's, traditionally speaking, they were in his neck. There's nothing wrong with that. The monster, the Frankenstein monster, who has been injured, stumbles into a hovel in Mexico. She heals him, like, instantly, just like, okay, you're good. He details his adventures throughout the world, battling, villagers with pitchforks and Mexican wrestling guys. And they're observed magically by Defabre, who's some kind of mystical guy, and he sends a harpy-like creature out to abduct the creature, whose dream the harpy has infiltrated. Am I reading that right? Is that what happened? It seemed like there was some kind of illusion going on.
No, there was an illusion. It wasn't a dream per se. Basically, Defabre collects monsters in his cabinet, which seems to be Cabinet of Dr. Caligari reference. And then, so he's got this little troll friggin' Gollum King thing. And then he's got, is it a harpy or an angel? Is it just somebody who doesn't really want to be...
It's difficult to tell. I don't know what that thing was. It was wings, and it was ugly.
Mignola is very up on his monsters of all sorts of cultures and periods, so...
Yeah, but he doesn't like always describing them flat out.
No, he likes to hint at it. But anyway, so that's sent out, but the witch reveals her true self to Frankenstein, who then fights her, gets his face half ripped off, and then falls into the dark forever. So,
well, probably not forever.
Good point. But no, it's a crazy beginning, and obviously somewhere in the Hellboys that I missed, that period where I wasn't buying, there's a Frankenstein story that I know nothing about.
Yeah, because they were boxing or wrestling or some shit, which that's got to be entertaining as all hell. We got to dig that one up somehow.
Well, I do have Hellboy Goes to Mexico, where he teams up with 4 luchador brothers to fight vampires. So
that's just such a ludicrous sentence. A demon teams up with a vampire. Oh my god! But it's enjoyable, and it's Mignola. How do you not like it?
Dude,
when was the last time you were ever disappointed by a Mignola book?
Well, I am disappointed in how little he draws now.
Nah.
More writing. So, but the last time was, if you go back when he teamed with Troy Nixon.
Who?
And they were doing that Jenny Finn thing with the weird limbs coming out of faces and whatnot. Not my all-time favorite.
Well, there's going to be misses, I suppose.
Yeah, but in general, like, ridiculously talented.
Kieran Gillen's ridiculously talented over here with Uber 23.
Yes.
Wow, you look all distracted and shit.
Sorry, I was flipping through next week's Archie versus Predator, so...
There's this large Blitzmensch force that annihilates, just utterly destroys Antwerp, and they sweep through Europe. Stephanie and the General discuss activation plans and what the Russians may be doing. What's happening there is Maria is providing, like, the peasantry... No, that's not yet. That might be another issue.
Well,
she's providing blood for activations.
Not voluntarily. They're asking for blood. She doesn't understand why, so she's giving it. But what they determine is her blood is also explosive. But Stalin...
Well, that's how you test the catalysts.
Yeah. So Stalin, hating the fact that his most powerful weapon doesn't want to fight and he can't control it, is trying to create other. What do they call the Soviet Ubers?
Did they give him a name? They certainly didn't give him a Russian name.
But he's trying to create other versions of her so he can dispose of her, which is just a terrible plan. Let her just sit out there and feed people, man. Do not take that on yourself. But I suppose when you have a weapon of that kind of power, just walking around, walking the earth like Kane in Kung Fu.
Right. Turing and Stephanie discuss Leia, who is having some major issues. She has to, like, break her own bones to move. And that's just creepy and wrong.
No, to move at the speed she was moving. The problem is, like, no one really understands the Ubers, so she's constantly correcting people. Like, no, she can go that fast, but she literally shattered her own bones, and now they're growing back inside her shins.
Over in Brussels, the HMH Dunkirk deploys against the Germans, retrieving 2 British destroyers.
Out of, like, 33?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the destroyers are not everything they're cracked up to be against actual Ubers. Like, Sieglin is just like, you're bringing these guys?
No, but they're trying to build a battleship. Meanwhile, they've got the Star Destroyer that is freaking Churchill.
Yeah. Leia's given 1 more catalyst and some armor.
It seems like it's not going to go well.
Nah, probably not. You want to finish this up?
What do you got left?
The last thing we got is the hit. No, is it Hit or The Hit?
Hit 1957.
Hit,
It might be The Hit
1957.
but I think it's Hit. Apparently there was one before this.
Yeah, was it 52?
Something. I don't know. This was a me call because here's my big thing with this. Like, I love noir and everything.
Yep.
And this is set in Los Angeles. I feel like everything is now tainted by how awesome LA Confidential was. Like, tell me reading this didn't just scream LA
Oh, it
Confidential.
really did. Poor Bonnie is hiding out under the name Marie.
I'm not sure it's poor Bonnie, considering that
Well,
how badly she fucks up a dude with a tire
Yeah,
iron.
she seems pretty badass, actually. But she's abducted, assaulted. She fights pretty well, but she's eventually taken to see him, which, is just the mystery him for the next couple of pages till the reveal.
An evil crime boss who's going to kill her eventually, and they both know it, but not till she's done some work for him. Meanwhile, 3 cops are on some sort of vengeance quest,
Right, Carl, Sticky, and Slater.
but Sticky kills a teenager by accident, so quits.
Oops.
And Slater has some sort of relationship with Bonnie from the past. So we're obviously diving in.
Straight in.
Yeah.
There's no build up here. There's no anything.
But it was
This is the story.
It was pretty goddamn good. It was definitely a variation on LA Confidential, as I said. But I enjoyed it. I definitely would look for the first one to kind of understand it a bit more. Because the thing is, like, there's so many indie books out there. It's so hard to know when things are not sequels to things at this point.
It is. And we've been at this 7 years. You'd think we'd know by now.
But how many times have you or I done this now where you buy something, you're like, son of a bitch, something came before this.
Yeah. It happens a lot. I don't want to do research just to go buy a book.
Yeah, no, that is not what I do.
Not really, no. It's been a long night. It's been a long issue.
It's been a very calm podcast. I will have to rant more next time.
Well, I mean, what was there to rant about?
There wasn't a lot.
Everything was either quality or not bad.
Yeah.
And we're going to get episodes like that. Whatever. We can't be horrifying human beings every goddamn episode.
It is exhausting.
Sometimes. Good night, kids.
Bless you, fuckers!
And away.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com, And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.